Welcome to the Explainer. So, let's just be real for a second. We're tackling one of the most wildly misunderstood, chaotic, and honestly fascinating phases of human development today, the teenager. Look, if you've ever spent more than 5 minutes with an adolescent, you've probably felt like they woke up one day as an entirely different human being. And guess what? You're not wrong. What looks to the outside world like total unpredictability or just straight up rebellion, it's actually this massive fundamental software upgrade happening right inside their brains. And today, we're going to decode exactly what that upgrade looks like. Okay, let's dive right into this. This is the big, pivotal question we literally have to ask ourselves. What actually defines an adolescent learner? Because if we want to teach them, guide them, or, just survive living under the same roof, we absolutely can't treat them like overgrown children. And we for sure can't treat them like miniature adults. They exist in this highly specific, highly volatile transitional space. So we're going to break down this whole mystery using a really structured, scientifically grounded approach. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. The academic shift, grasping the abstract. 2. The social sphere, peer domination. 3. The emotional roller coaster. 4. Cognitive, thinking about thinking. And finally, number 5, putting the complete adolescent puzzle together. All right, Module 1, Academic, Grasping the Abstract. Let's look at the work of developmental psychologist Jean Piaget. He noted that adolescents enter what he called the formal operational stage. Now, I really want you to think of this as the sudden downloading of a cognitive superpower. Seriously, before this stage, a kid's brain is totally locked into concrete rules. They need to physically see a thing, touch a thing, or directly experience it to truly get it. But as they hit adolescence, boom, this brand new capacity just comes online. Abstract thinking. Suddenly, they can juggle these complex ideas in their heads that don't even physically exist. We're talking about grasping heavy metaphors, diving into wild advanced algebra, and actually pondering massive philosophical concepts like justice or infinity. So, the real game changer here is this monumental leap from concrete, literal thinking right into the abstract. It completely rewires how they tackle academic challenges. You aren't just asking them to regurgitate memorized facts anymore, you're asking them to build entire conceptual models in their minds. Like, think about the phrase, "don't put all your eggs in one basket." A young kid, they're literally picturing a basket full of actual eggs. But an adolescent in the formal operational stage, they instantly get the concept of risk diversification. This right here is exactly why middle and high school curriculums suddenly get so intensely theoretical. Their brains are finally ready for the challenge. Moving on to number 2, social, the peer domination. To really understand this social shift, we've got to look at psychologist Erik Erikson's framework. According to him, the absolute core psychological task of any teenager is identity formation. Basically, answering the question, who am I, becomes their absolute number one mission in life. It's like this heavy background app that is just constantly running on their mental hard drive, draining the battery. They're trying on different personalities, bouncing between friend groups, testing out new interests and new values. Fundamentally, they are pulling away from their parents to figure out exactly who they are as a totally independent person out there in the wider world. And the way they actually accomplish that mission is wild, because peer influence ends up completely dominating their social processing power. It takes up nearly all the space. Now, it's not that they just wake up and suddenly hate the adults in their lives. It's actually evolution and psychology screaming at them to calibrate their social compass strictly to their peers. Their friends become the ultimate sounding board for this brand new identity. To a teenager, acceptance from peers literally feels like survival, and rejection, well, that feels like a mortal threat. This explains so much of that intense conformity, the obsession with trends, and just the sheer social focus we see every single day. Number 3, emotional, the roller coaster ride. Okay, we all know the adolescent emotional experience is heavy. It's really characterized by 3 compounding weights. First up, mood swings. Because of all the intense biological and neurological changes, they are experiencing emotions at a volume level of like a 10. Meanwhile, an adult might experience that exact same frustration at a 3, especially when the conflict is just about being asked to clean their room. Second is this extreme sensitivity to criticism. Remember that primary mission we talked about? Identity formation? When you criticize them, it rarely feels like you're just critiquing a behavior. To them, it feels like a direct attack on their fragile, newly forming identity. And third, wild self-esteem fluctuations. Depending entirely on how peer interactions went that day, their self-worth can skyrocket or totally plummet in a matter of hours. These 3 things just heavily interact day in and day out. and massively impact their resilience, whether they're sitting in a classroom or hanging out at home. That brings us to 4, cognitive, thinking about thinking. So, running quietly beneath all of this is the absolutely incredible concept of metacognition. Teenagers are quite literally just developing the internal capacity to observe, monitor, and evaluate their own thoughts, which is a completely astonishing milestone when you think about it. For the very first time, they can stop and go, wait, how do I actually know that? Or, am I even studying this the right way? Or, why did I just snap and react so angrily? They basically become the audience to their own internal monologue. And sure, it's an incredibly powerful tool for academic growth, but it's also a recipe for immense self-consciousness. Because if they are suddenly hyper-analyzing their every thought and move, they naturally assume everyone else is analyzing them just as closely. This cognitive upgrade is practically applied through what psychologists call hypothetical deductive reasoning. We can break this down into 2 really digestible steps. Step 1 is the hypothetical, asking, what if? Step 2 is the deductive, reasoning out the exact consequences of that specific what if. This is exactly how adolescents mentally test out reality. It goes like, what if I skip this class? Well, the teacher might call my parents and then I'd get grounded. Or on a higher academic level, what if we change this one variable in the science experiment? Then the outcome should shift like this. They're basically running complex, high-level simulations in their minds before ever taking action in the real world. Finally, number 5, the complete adolescent puzzle. When we actually bring all these pieces together, the full picture finally emerges. We've got the academic domain, where they're suddenly capable of this beautiful abstract thought. The social domain, where peer influence heavily dominates everything to help forge that new identity. The emotional domain, packed with intense fluctuations and hypersensitivity. And the cognitive domain, newly empowered by metacognition and deductive reasoning. The absolute crucial takeaway here is that a teenager isn't just some chaotic mess of hormones, right? They are a highly complex, totally logical intersection of these 4 specific developmental shifts happening all at the exact same time. Whenever a student acts out or struggles or excels, it is always a combination of these 4 domains interacting. Which leaves us with one final, absolutely vital question. Knowing the science behind the behavior, knowing that their brains are undergoing this massive, completely transformative software upgrade across academic, social, emotional, and cognitive domains, how will you adapt your approach to the teenagers in your life? Whether you're an educator designing a lesson plan or a parent just trying to navigate a wild mood swing at the dinner table, you now have the blueprint of what's happening under the hood. So use the insights from this explainer. Foster a little more patience, design better learning experiences, and try to connect with them not as the kids they used to be, but as the fascinating, evolving thinkers they are rapidly becoming.